Welcome everybody back here at Veil of Sound. Yes, Tuesday. Yes, surprise interview. Surprise. We've been doing this on Tuesdays for now, I think already 2 months or something. There's no surprise anymore. We are basically trying to do 2 interviews a week. And of course, I had to talk to my friends from San Francisco, my favorite San Franciscan monks, um, the wonderful guys in Sleepbomb. So, gentlemen, thanks for joining.
Thank you
for having us.
So most of our audience might know Mr. Gotch on the left side because he already did an interview with us. What was it? 2 years ago? 3 years ago? I know it was for Caligari. It wasn't for Night of the Living Dead. It was for Caligari, so it must be
2023. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, we're getting old. But maybe the other two fine gentlemen, first of all, introduce themselves, and please also say what you do in the band. That would be awesome.
Hi, I am Charles Fernandez, and I play guitar and a little percussion.
I'm Robert Johnson, and I play drums and percussion.
It's interesting that Mr. Hernandez now introduces him as Charles. Very, very official. But all fine. Guys, as usual, the first thing here, the plug of the day. I wanna pluck something. I think they're from Chicago, but I ain't really sure. I would like to play Rezn. Reason? I don't know how to pronounce that name even, but if anybody from Reason out there hears this, let's talk. So I've heard the new record, the upcoming one. It's amazing. But who do you three guys want to join? No neurosis, please. I know San Francisco is now proud of the return of Gilman Street, but no neurosis.
Well, I can start. I'll throw out the first EP from Ominous. OMINESS.
Mm-hmm.
It's up on Bandcamp, and it just came out on Transylvanian Recordings. They played, Spotify, all that stuff, but get it on Bandcamp.
Yes.
They're like relatively new in the Bay Area, and they're the best thing since sliced bread. Amazing vocalist, amazing just package. And they played with us they opened for us at the record release show on Thursday, which was really fun. So check them out. Ominous.
For everybody, the release show that Tim is talking about, that was June 4th. So it was when this one comes out, it wasn't last Thursday, it was 2.5 weeks before. So Mr. Hernandez, your turn.
Oh man, Tim took the words right out of my mouth. And you already said no neurosis, because that's the record I cannot stop playing. It's just wonderful to have them back. So I will plug. I mean, they don't have a new record out, but I will plug SF's very own Hazard's Cure, who we also played with on the record release show on Thursday night. Excellent Bay Area band, and even Molten. And also Oxide, who we played with on Friday night out of Oakland. Incredible band. If you guys could check them out, you definitely should.
And Rob, last but not least, your plug.
My plug has to be local bands or just
no, whatever you want to. It also doesn't have to be anything from your musical realm. Just something that impresses you.
The Dirty Three, for like one of my bands.
That would also be a dream interview still to come true.
Yeah,
or maybe dreams come true. So we have a wide variety of bands out here, and that is also something that everybody who has followed Sleepbomb over the last couple of years will probably have noticed. When listening to Caligari, it was, for lack of a better term, a very clear doom metal, post-metal thing. When listening to The Night of the Living Dead, it already became different. And when now listening to Songs in the Key of Conan, we'll come to the title. When listening to Songs in the Key of Conan, it again sounds like a very, very different band. It's a lot of heavy psych metal, if I may say so. There are a lot of instruments and sounds and dominating in places that we hadn't heard from you guys before. But now the tricky thing comes. Remind me or explain, do I understand it correctly that some of the tracks on this record are 11 years old?
So one of the tracks on that record is actually 21 years old.
Yeah.
So it's allowed to drink and drive.
Yes,
So-
it is. Absolutely. So it's one of the first things that when Sleepbomb originally was Mark Jones and myself. And that was one of the first, oh man, what's it called now? I forget it's had like 3 or 4 names, but yeah, it's definitely about, it can drink and drive now.
So, yeah, I mean, in the chronology of Sleepbomb Records, the Conan score was actually complete and sort of set in stone probably about 2018, 2019.
8 years already ago.
Yeah. So, I mean, if one was thinking about things the way that it should have happened, it should have been the first thing we recorded. But because of the lineup changes that happened during COVID, we kind of just didn't. And then got distracted with Caligari and then Night of the Living Dead. And then we knocked out the recording in what, summer of
25?
No, it was summer. Was it just last year?
No.
Was it last year? Yeah. No, it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, so it was 24.
So it was
24.
actually we tracked it in June of 24. No, that also doesn't make sense. It must have been June of 25. What year are we in?
26.
Okay. So yeah, we must have tracked it last year. We tracked it a long time ago.
That's a good way of saying it.
Because we tracked it before Night of the Living. So actually, yeah, it was 24 because it was before The Sleeping Dead came out. And we did that because at the time, Claire's visa was about to come due, and we thought that she was going to have to go back to France. She didn't end up having to leave the country. So we sort of tracked it and we were like, okay, we're going to mix it like we tracked in June and then we were going to mix it in December. And that ended up actually being us mixing it like August and September of last year. Because we got caught into the Sleeping Dead release cycle and shows and touring and stuff.
But my question initially more went into the direction of, okay, we have those 2 records that partially were conceived after a lot of stuff on the Conan record.
Yes.
But how do we have to envision it? Is this what we hear now on Conan? Is this the direction that Sleepbomb will go? Or is it just too unpredictable?
It's too unpredictable.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can guarantee you that the next score that we're working on right now does not sound much like Conan.
Yeah.
But it does sound like Sleepbomb.
Yes.
That is also a good thing. Because there is something, of course, we have like Tim's things, and of course everybody who works on his records has a certain kind of, for example, a certain kind of tuning, So we hear that it's Sleepbomb. That is clear. And I think Tim already mentioned something in Tilburg, what they're working on. So if I remember correctly, then everybody can and should be on the edge of their seat.
It's not really a secret.
Well, I think you wanted to do Kevin Home Alone. Right?
Which one?
Yeah, Home Alone 1.
No, I was thinking 2.
The old lady is not scary enough. But no, let's not nerf us out. Everybody will hear the news when the news are out. Anybody who has followed you can have a very good guess. But that's not what I meant. It's the way that there is something about the songwriting that, of course, has to relate to the music, or not so music, to the movie that you're working on.
Yeah.
So interestingly, and that is something that I took from the new record, from Songs in the Key of Conan. Everybody thinks of Conan the Barbarian as this action-filled, loud, abrasive, nearly arrogant kind of movie, like, I'm Arnold. I do not talk English, but I have muscles. When listening to the record, the movie that I've known, and I had to rewatch the movie because of the score, was something totally different. And listening to your score, that whole thing turns into a very contemplative, introvert, I don't want to say shy, but a very reserved kind of thing. Is that important for you? Because is it important for you that it changes the movie's experience?
Well, it's my tagline, so I'll talk about it. But the whole recontextualizing genre film thing, I think that is one of our goals. Yeah, I mean, I think that's where a lot of this is an art project rather than just a band comes into it. Yeah, because we're trying to write music that serves the film. But inherently, I mean, music is such a powerful element, in any movie. Like, you can be in, a Spielberg film or something, and, the score is trying to make you feel a certain way, or it's trying to, create a sense of tension or something. And we're doing the same thing to a certain extent. I mean, some of the films we do are silent. Some of them are not. But I think that, while the original Conan score by Basil Polidoros is amazing. I mean, it's a great, great score and totally iconic. You watch the film with our score.
Yeah. And I turned on the subtitles and turned everything else on.
Yeah. It's going to really change it,
Yeah.
Changes the feel.
Definitely.
Unfortunately, the record doesn't line up exactly with the film because we had to make a lot of edits, or else it would be like 2 hours.
But that didn't bother me at all. But yeah, of course, there were moments when it doesn't line up. So would you say that your art is more about, and Tim already said that, it's more about recontextualization than appropriation?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that is also one of the reasons, I guess, why you did not, and you never do, you never just replay the score. And it's also already obvious when looking at the track list, because your score has, I think, 16 songs, if I remember correctly. The latest version of the Polidoros soundtrack for Conan has, and now let me count, 32, delivered by the Czech Philharmonic Orchestra, or the City of Prague, something like that. Philharmonic, whatever. Your tracks on this record are not as epic as on some of the silent movie soundtracks that you did. They're a little more concise and a little shorter. Is that also something that you needed to play with, track lengths? Like, how long does this track have to be?
Yeah, so the stuff that's on the record is way shorter than if we were playing the film live. Like not all of the pieces, some of them are like straight like the whole scene because there's like development throughout, but some of the more repetitive ones, what Fear of the Night is considerably shorter. Fear of the Night in the movie is like 15 minutes or something.
When you do it live.
Yeah, when we're doing it again, because it's the whole scene of them, going up and kidnapping the princess, and then them coming out, and the denouement later when, spoiler alert, Valeria gets killed. So yeah, I mean, it's a significant chunk of time. But some of the other tracks are the same length as in the film. So Greg and I, when we did the initial rough tracking, the drum tracking, where Charlie and I are playing scratch tracks, we recorded the whole thing. We just played the movie like we were doing the movie, just track by track. And then Greg and I and Charlie, actually maybe all of us, sat down and chopped up we shortened things. And then when it got to the point where we were doing the final mix for for the CD and the LPs, Greg and I made further edits to a couple of things, so that way, like, it would fit correctly on like an LP. So, or rather, a double LP, which, by the way, is available from our Bandcamp.
Rob, question for you. I know that those two are the other two guys next to you are like real movie buffs. How is that with you? How deep into the movies that you are scoring are you yourself?
I'm not as probably much of a movie buff as these guys are, but I
Who
do.
is?
But Conan, I mean, I grew up with Conan. I saw Conan when it came out in the theaters as a kid, and I've always loved that movie. And I never would have realized at the time like how much that movie would have affected my life later on, and how many times I would have watched it and I would have been playing scores to it. It never occurred to me at the time, but I always loved that movie.
So how often do you think that by now you have watched Conan or at the same time played to it?
Oh God, I have no idea.
We've probably played the film live 30 plus times over the years.
Plus rehearsals, all the rehearsals we've
it's the rehearsals.
And then all the times I've just seen it on my own without before and since, it's like.
So we're in a triple digit number.
Oh yeah. Easy.
Yeah.
Easy. I mean, we can sit there. I mean, when we play,
we know the dialogue.
Yeah. When we play Conan now, we don't even all the cues are almost all the cues are dialogue based. I don't even watch the movie. I just listen to the dialogue.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we're all starting.
Yep.
And
that's true.
Yeah. Bam. It's and it's funny though, because there's like little things that you keep on, because you can sort of deep watch some of these films because you have to pay real close attention to things sometimes. And you're kind of like, oh, I never noticed that element of the mise en scène, or like.
But are there still moments like that when you watch or play to Conan?
Yeah. I mean,
that's cool.
I mean, Yeah, on one hand, Conan's this total like meathead, action film.
It
And
is, yes.
the other hand, I mean, it's an extremely well done film.
Yeah.
I mean, they were not messing around with this. It was a big budget 80s action film.
Yeah.
And
Oliver Stone killed it on the screenplay.
yeah, I mean, Oliver Stone writing,
Yeah.
John Milius, it was serious cinema at the time that just also happened to be, meathead, barbarian stuff. And just so we've, for the record release show, because we were playing in a club in San Francisco with other bands, we couldn't do the whole film, which we can't do anyway right now. Whole nother topic. But we still wanted some of the visuals, right? So I took the film and I was editing scenes out. And I was editing the final battle at the end where, the Thulsa Doom and his minions come out and attack them at the the tors at the
burial mounds.
At the burial mound.
The burrows, whatever.
And I was really watching the edit, and I was just like, man, this edit is off the hook. I mean, and I'd never noticed that before. I was like, man, this is like perfection. For a meathead action film. Yeah.
Interesting that you mentioned that term by now a couple of times. It is a meathead action movie on the surface level, but
it's also for nerds.
It definitely is for nerds, of course. I mean, it's also for comic nerds, of course. There is so much in it. You could even watch this and look at it as like a starting point into the whole Oliver Stone thing, like all the things that he did later. So yes, there are multiple ways of watching this. For you guys, are you more interested in the action element or more on this aggressive coming of warrior age thing?
That's a good question. I mean,
wow,
thank you.
A little bit of both.
Yeah, I think it's just this whole story,
Yeah, absolutely.
Of how he became who he is and how he got there and what his motivations were.
Yeah. And something I did some preparation for this. I also looked at some of the visuals from the original comics. In the comics, at least to me, I never had the feeling as if it was a lot about the introspective of Conan. As I said, when listening to your soundtrack, all of a sudden it was very introspective, very timid in some parts. I know that you have worked on this for years, and I'm very sure that what we hear on the record is not the final, all-time final version of Sleepbomb's Conan the Barbarian. That's clear. But there is something, and that is something that struck me. The horns on this record play a much more significant role than on any Sleepbomb stuff that I've heard before, at least the stuff that I remember. How? Why? Why so much emphasis on the horns?
So the original impetus for doing Conan the Barbarian was a suggestion. We were sitting around in the beer garden, 2015, 2016, long time ago, 2015. We were sitting around in the beer garden at Zeitgeist in San Francisco, where Charlie used to work and where we had originally started playing all these scores, really. I mean, that's where Sleepbomb originated. And because we used to just improvise for free in the beer garden there. And we were all sitting around, smoking cigarettes and, drinking beers. And we were talking about what film we should do next. And we were talking about, hey, we should do a talkie, something with dialogue. And Matt Pankooch, who at the time was the bass player in Sleepbomb, and I played just keyboards and samples and stuff. Matt suggested Conan. And then maybe a year later, Matt moved away to Albuquerque. Yeah. But by that point,
doing Breaking Bad.
Yeah. I think more because his family was out there. But by that point, we'd done Conan at least a couple of times, and he was really into it. And he, a few months later, we were like, "Hey, we're doing Conan again." And by this point, I'd taken over playing bass, and Charlie and I had started developing things a lot with, we'd started, really locking down some of the songs into, Charlie and I and James Presley and Rob, and I forget if somebody else was playing guitar with us at that point, like second guitar. Yeah, but and we talked to Matt about him coming back out, and but he was like, "But you're playing bass now. What am I going to do?" And I was like, we were just like, "Whatever. I mean, do you want to just come out?" Because we were still in that sort of improv mode. And he was like, "Well, why don't I come out and play, saxophone and stuff?" And he brought his sax, and it became part of the score. And ever since then, he's come out from Albuquerque every single time we've done Conan. We've never done Conan without Matt coming out from Albuquerque and playing sax and flute and clarinet and making weird noises with his mouth through a bunch of effects.
And doing percussion.
And doing additional percussion. So it was already sort of an integral part of the score, having all those horns there. So that was the long-winded answer to your question, I think.
Yeah, that's the how, but you haven't answered the why.
Oh.
Because let's put it like this. I think the use of the horns is what makes this soundtrack, this score, at least to me, so introvert, so different.
Yeah, I mean, I know that. The thing that really cemented the horns originally in Conan was in the scene where Conan hooks up with Valeria, who
sexy sax.
Yeah, which became known as the sexy sax scene. We just told Matt, "Hey, look, we're all just gonna hold back, and it's just yours. Go nuts, play a solo," and it became the sexy sax solo. And from that point, I think, especially when it came time for record, we were just like, "You know what, Matt, just go nuts. Like, contribute to everything that you want to contribute to." And it definitely changed the sound for the record, which has been really nice. I mean, I like having instruments sometimes that you wouldn't normally see.
I'd also like to bring up Claire there as well.
That's good, because I also wanted to come to her, please.
Yeah, because Claire also played clarinet. And she's the lead instrument on a couple of the tracks with the clarinet. So that definitely kind of tied into it with the letting everybody contribute to their the way that they wanted to. Yeah.
Would you be offended if I said that some parts on your score reminded me in a way of the Hans Zimmer, Lisa Gerrard stuff for Gladiator?
Nope.
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 Offend us more comparing us to Lisa Gerrard and Hans Zimmer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, the score is definitely got a lot more like scorey parts to it. Part of that's because the length of the film, and part of that's because it's like with Caligari, we can just kind of go nuts because there's no dialogue, right? Yeah. With Night of the Living Dead, the dialogue is really there's like spots of dialogue throughout, but the like heavy duty dialogue pieces we don't even play it during. There's like about 20 minutes of the, and there's also some monologues in in Conan that we also don't play in. Like, Thulsa Doom has a couple of big speeches.
And nobody wants to play underneath James Eldred.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, neither did Basil Polidoros. So he made that choice to if they thought it was a good idea to not have music here, I mean, we'd just be, what are we going to do that's going to make, and it actually, strengthens the impact of the stuff before and after having these okay, it's a dialogue scene. But there are quite a few scenes where there's action going on that's relatively subtle, or there's dialogue going on that we don't want to step on top of too much. Fangs of the Serpent lines up with I'm forgetting his character's name, but Max von Sydow's speech. His one-day cameo where, he's hiring them to go rescue his daughter. So, if you watch it synchronized, all that dialogue is over the clean parts of Fangs of the Serpent. And then when it gets heavy is when Conan takes off by himself and ends up at the Barrows and meets Mako's character, the priest. We definitely had to work with that, the dialogue aspect.
Yeah.
I have one short question. When you play your score live, you still, and I think you've already answered it, you keep the dialogue running.
Yes.
Cool. Is any one of you aware of how many percent of the movie is scored originally?
Originally,
I can out nerd for nerds. Yes.
No, but
I looked it up, and nobody will guess.
Probably 30 some minutes, I would imagine.
No. How many percent of the whole movie do you hear music originally?
So probably about 20%.
You're so far off. 91% of the movie are scored. And here comes something that I also really, it flabbergasted me. So when Polydorus wrote Polydorus, when Basil wrote that thing, and he was said go nuts, whatever you want to do is fine. He took the liberty of inviting, I think it was 90 participants into the studio, and one hears it, of course. One hears it. It's heavily instrumented soundtrack, loads of choirs, boom from every corner. isn't that a moment when somebody, as a musician, says like, okay, there is so much going on in the original score. We cannot keep it, and we cannot completely change it. So let's just step away. When did you, or why did you decide to walk up that mountain of the soundtrack?
Stupidity. So, I mean, in hindsight, Conan was like a bad idea, right? It's a perfect score for, I mean, it's a perfect film for us to score,
yeah.
Right? It's all from Conan's perspective.
Yeah.
Like he's in every scene, basically. There's hardly any cross-cutting.
Yeah.
And the cross-cutting that is just like action stuff that you don't need to pay attention to. It's not cross-cutting between locations.
Yeah.
And because Arnie couldn't really speak English at the time, there's very little.
I still think he sometimes has problems with that.
Although I have to say that when we do play it live, we do play the extended Blu-ray version, which has the blueberries scene. If you haven't watched it,
it's hilarious.
It is a charming break in the film, but you can tell why they cut it from the theatrical version.
Yes. Yeah, I have only watched the theatrical lately. I'll have to get the other one. Yeah.
But I mean, from like a pure logistical perspective, I mean, one, it's encumbered by copyright.
Yeah, and here we come to the other question that you've already hinted at. Isn't it a nightmare to score a movie, to do it really well, to know, okay, we did well on this one, and then not be able to perform it alongside with a movie in the background?
Oh yeah, it's incredibly frustrating. Incredibly frustrating.
So who of the guys quickly sums up why you cannot do it?
He's handle this a lot.
So
no four-letter words, Mr. Gotch.
No. I mean, when you look at it from a film business perspective, it makes perfect sense why we are not able to do this right now.
Please enlighten those who don't.
Now, so up until 2023, we could perform the score.
Yeah.
We could go to a movie theater and say, hey, we want to come in and do our live score for Conan the Barbarian. And the movie theater goes to the distributor, Universal Pictures in this case, or rather Universal Distribution. And they go and say, hey, we want a license to screen Conan the Barbarian. And by the way, this band is going to do a live score to it. So, and Universal said, no problem. It's going to cost X amount of money. Usually it's, there's a lower, like, it's a certain number or a percentage of the door, whichever is higher, right? Mm-hmm. So, and that's what we do with Night of the Living Dead. We have an agreement with the distributor. It's totally normal film business stuff.
You don't have to do it for Caligari, I guess, because the rights are open source.
In the United States.
Yeah, yes. Not in Europe, because, I know. Okay.
Yeah, it gets complicated overseas, especially with the German expressionist stuff. So, because those Germans,
Yeah. Please go on.
So in 2023, we were working with a theater here in San Francisco, and we were setting up a series of dates throughout the year with them, Night of the Living Dead, Caligari, and we were ready to do Conan live again now that, Caligari was out. And this was in like February, and they came back to me and they were like, when we went to schedule the license for Conan, Universal said they are no longer able to license Conan the Barbarian for performance with a live score. That the no longer able being the key words there, because Universal is just the distributor. They might own a piece. Universal Pictures might own part of the film, but Universal Distribution is just like a middleman, right? So, and we're like, well, did you tell them that it was our original music? And they went back and they said, this is original music, right? We're not trying to perform Basil Polidorus' score.
Yeah.
And the guy at Universal Distribution is like, yeah, I know. We're still unable to issue a license for it. And we were sort of like, what do we do about this? And that's when we decided to just switch to Night of the Living Dead. And work on that score. And we kind of didn't have the bandwidth to deal with something like, why is this thing happening? And we had other stuff to work on. Right. And we just put out Caligari. We were, so about a year later, we were like, okay, we need to deal with this Conan situation, and got our lawyers involved. We have a regular lawyer, like a general counsel, and we got an intellectual property lawyer who... And the two of them started talking to Universal and worked out some other esoteric things about the rights. But consistently, Universal is just like, we can't, or we're unable to do this. We don't think the situation is going to change. So the assumption has been that a third party who does own the rights has been telling Universal Distribution not to license the film for derivative works, right? Because there's been a lot of development going on over the last few years for, like, there was supposed to be a Conan television show on Amazon that fell through, and then they did The Rings of Power instead.
Yeah, because Bezos doesn't have any money.
Yeah. But I mean, this is also pretty common in the film industry. Something gets in development and then
it doesn't make it.
Like, it just goes nowhere, right? And so they were trying to do it with Netflix, and then about a few months ago, it turns out that 20th Century Fox is doing King Conan with Arnold Schwarzenegger in the Conan role. And it's heavily in development. I think they already have a director attached. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
the guy that's done the Mission Impossible movies.
Right. I can't remember. Yeah. So it's well along. It's not, and like Arnold, I think, really wants to do this while he's still physically capable of doing it.
Yeah.
Christopher
McQuarrie said.
Yeah, Christopher McQuarrie. And in the Variety article, there was a specific mention that 20th Century Fox has been gathering up the rights to Conan for the last 2 years. So, upon advice of our lawyers, we're basically just going to park it. And that doesn't mean we won't be playing the songs. And it doesn't mean that, like, it doesn't really have anything to do with the record itself. It's just we can't perform the score to the film until these restrictions are lifted, if they're ever lifted. So, which is a little frustrating, yes. I believe, especially right now when I'm trying to book a tour.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, we just put out this record for a movie that we can't score.
Yeah.
So we're working on, like I said, it's no secret. We actually did a preview sort of like a work in progress preview performance of it Saturday night. But we're working on Frankenstein right now, the original Boris Karloff one, because it is not rights encumbered.
Yeah, it's basically the same thing as with Caligari, and I think it's free also here in Europe, right?
I'm not sure of the status in Europe. I have to have our IP guy assign a couple of paralegals to do a research project, because of course we want to come over and play in Europe, but we need to be like 100% sure of the copyright status of the films before we do so.
Of course.
But in the case with Conan, it's kind of specific, right? It's very, it's because of this specific situation. They had no problem taking the licensing money before this thing with the King Conan film came along. For if like we decided to do another movie, like, something more current that's still under copyright, we could probably work that out. But we would definitely be working it out before we started working on the score, rather than after we'd put a bunch of investment into it. Yeah.
I have two more questions before we come to the quickfire round, and you've already hinted at it when you talked about Matt. So this score is heavily influenced not only by the three of you, but also by three more people: Claire, vocals, clarinet, keyboards; Matt with the percussion and the horns; and somebody called K.R. Morris, if I understood that correctly, who also did some percussion. First of all, Rob, it's interesting that you usually are one person on the record. All of a sudden, it's three percussion.
Yeah, I mean, it works out. It works out. We tried having a second drummer at one time, and it didn't work out so well. But having the extra added percussion, it's not quite the same. And Christy works out well. She just, that's all she does is just play percussion. She doesn't do anything else.
And then that, of course, also gives you the space to develop all those very delicate and not just pedal to the metal kind of drumming elements on the record, which is a very cool thing. You have already mentioned that Claire is a part of it. Let's clear it up. Claire, at the moment, is she a live member of the band? Because if I understood it correctly, she's not an official member of the band anymore.
So Claire left as a full-time member last summer. So before we actually mixed Conan. And I mean, totally amicable. Like, we're all still friends. But it was just getting to be too much because, we're pretty busy. And like dealing with the scheduling around, because she's a school teacher and her visa is tied to her being a school teacher. So she has to, she can't be like, pretty please, can I take a week off to go on tour? So she was sort of stepping away as like a touring member already because of that. Like, it was starting to put a lot of constraints on touring. And then she decided to just step away entirely. I mean, she was still involved with the mix and everything. And then she did play the record release shows with us this past weekend. But beyond that, it's her involvement in the project is kind of up in the air.
So then she's also not involved in the Frankenstein work that you're doing.
Yes, she's not involved at all.
And the last one is, I mean, like, as we've already noticed, you are very much, all three of you are very much into this movie. You also probably have names of all the scenes in your head. You might even have had a look at the original script. But then the question is, when looking at the title track listing for the original score and your new score, there are a lot of similarities. Like there are even names that are completely the same: the Tree of Woe, Wheel of Pain, and so on and so on. And sometimes there are very different names on your score. Does that also mean that you, for yourself, divided the movie into different bits? Because, of course, Polydorus, when he scored it, he had a certain idea of where to place what. Did you divide it, chop it up differently?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we may not. So we didn't reference the original score at all, and actually,
I mean, like some scenes are just some scenes. You know, when talking about the Tree of Woe, it doesn't make no sense to say like, oh, the brown thing coming out of the earth, talking about doom.
Well, and that's literally what Thulsa Doom calls it right before he gets nailed up there. He says, "Crucify him on the Tree of Woe." So it's funny. I wonder if subconsciously, when we came up with those names, we might have been thinking about the original names, but they also they're the obvious choices for some of them. Some of them are, I mean, I have to be wholly honest here. Brown and I came up with the track names in the car driving from San Francisco over to Greg Wilkinson's because we had to. Like, so we literally were just like, what should we call this? What should we call this? And then we showed them to everybody else. And some of those were already called that, but like the Tree of Woe was originally called Plague. The Wheel of Pain has always been called the Wheel of Pain. Because it was Conan specific, but we've done several variants of the Tree of Woe. What Fangs of the Serpent used to be called Eclipse.
Fear of the Night used to be Obelisk.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was called Obelisk because we originally used it for a bit from 2001. Then we reappropriated it internally over to Conan when we were writing Conan. So, yeah. And Plague was...
I'm thinking which scene in 2001. But anyway, let's go on.
The discovery of the obelisk.
Yeah.
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 Then last thing, before we get to the quickfire round, I mean, like we've already heard, okay, Frankenstein. We've heard about Caligari, Conan the Barbarian, 2001, and lots of other stuff. Is there, and that might be a strange question to ask, but is there any kind of romantic movie that you could see, any kind of love movie, like love story, that you could see yourself scoring?
No
kissing.
There's a Murnau film called Sunrise that I would like to do at some point. I don't know if it's really a Sleepbomb film, but it is actually kind of romantic.
Okay.
Yeah, what else?
Probably the most romantic you guys could get would probably be something like Interview with a Vampire.
Yeah, well, I mean, Nosferatu's a romance.
Yeah. I mean, in a way. He tries to kill her, but yes.
Metropolis is a romance.
True. Forgot that you did that one.
Yeah. And we've done
But again, like with Metropolis, most people would not think about the romantic aspects of it.
Yes, that's true.
The head and the hands.
Yeah. But if you go that far, then Conan is also a romantic movie.
Conan's absolutely romantic.
The next one you should do Red Sonja.
Hey, have you watched Red Sonja anytime since it came out?
Thank you for assuming that when it came out, I was able to go into the cinema and watch it. In Germany, it being, I think, PG-12, and I definitely wasn't 12 at the time when it came out. I've watched it. When did I watch it? It's this side of a millennium, yes, but much closer to the 00 than to now.
Very good.
I would guess like 2001, 2002.
It's not very good.
No, it's not very good. No, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, but again, like at this point, given our experiences with Conan, we're not going to be doing scores for anything that's encumbered by copyright.
Yeah.
Anytime in the near future,
which is totally fine.
Unless somebody comes to us to do an original score for a film, which we'd love to do. We just on one hand, we'd love to do it. On the other hand, coming from a filmmaking background, I know about all the compromises that would be involved in doing that. So, it's sort of a double-edged sword. It's like, we'd love to do it, but somebody would really want to have Sleepbomb do it, not like just the idea of Sleepbomb, because, we'd want to be able to do our music, Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And as you said, I just don't see you ever doing a rom-com. Sleepless in Seattle, scored by.
Yeah.
Stranger things have happened. No, I mean, it's hard to do light stuff when you're doing this kind of music. Because I mean, like something. I mean, like it would be interesting to do something like Umbrellas of Cherbourg. That would be a fun film to do. But it would require a much lighter touch than we usually approach things with. So, I mean, Frankenstein's kind of a romance,
Yeah. According to you, everything's a romance. As soon as it's got a male and a female, it's a romance.
Yeah.
No, but let's be honest.
There's a whole wedding scene.
Okay. But I know what you mean. It's very. I mean, like romantic movies also need to have a very tipsy-toey, light, Randy Newman, Burt Bacharach kind of style. Guys, thanks for the interesting details into this one. But of course, the quickfire round at the end is nothing that you get around. Because of the song of your new record, Songs in the Key of Conan, I came up with 2 questions, and you have to choose, first of all, between 2 tracks from Stevie Wonder's wonderful Songs in the Key of Life. You have to choose between Black Man and Isn't She Lovely?
Isn't she lovely?
Yeah.
I'd also say Isn't She Lovely?
Yeah.
And now the nerd in me comes out. I'll give you 2 soundtracks taken from TV shows of the 90s, which both start with songs in the key of. And you have to choose songs in the key of Springfield for The Simpsons, or songs in the key of X for The X-Files.
X-Files.
X-Files, yeah.
You don't know what you're missing out on. Songs in the key of Springfield is wonderful.
Danny Elfman is amazing, and like there was a while when I was in my 20s though where like I had to listen to Danny Elfman stuff at this toy store that I was working in. It was like there were 3 CDs. It was Danny Elfman, Coltrane, and Mingus record, and I was forbidden from playing anything but those 3. And like after a while, even Coltrane and Mingus get boring, and you start listening to Elfman. And like Elfman's amazing, but definitely Mark Frost. And it's funny, Lisa and I were just talking about that.
For everybody who doesn't know, Lisa is Tim's wonderful, lovely wife. And I have to say that the cool thing about those Simpsons soundtracks, there are several of them that were released, I think, on Rhino Records back in the day, like 25 years ago. I know those CDs so well that when I started like a rewatch of The Simpsons with my daughter, I think 2 years ago. So every now and then, we come home from school and we just blop on 2 or 3 episodes of The Simpsons. And in those early seasons, I was able to sing along to a lot of the stuff. And she looked at me like,
That's pretty awesome.
yeah, you only have to know how to annoy your child. There is a certain Swans feel about songs in the key of Conan. So I'll give you 2 Swans records. All of you have to choose between Greed and Filth.
Filth.
Yeah, Filth.
Yeah, sure.
All of you? Okay.
I'm not as familiar with all their records as these guys are, so
Doesn't matter. There is something that I love about Sleepbomb, and there is sometimes a little certain crunch on some of the songs. And those little tidbits remind me of 2 noise rock bands, Unsane versus the Melvins.
Ooh,
That's a tough one.
that is really tough.
I'd go with the Melvins probably, but
Ooh.
I'd actually probably go with Unsane because
Yeah. Oh man.
and I'm not just saying that because of
Charlie?
Yeah. I mean, if you're going by where I grew up, because I grew up in New York, I mean, I would say more Unsane, and then I also love Chris. He's a great guy, but I could also see the Melvins a little bit. This is where the Libra in me comes out. I'm just gonna say Unsane.
Okay. By the way, if anybody wants to know a little bit more about Unsane or Melvins, just look at our archive. We have interviews with both bands. I don't know why, but I came up with a Radiohead question. You have to choose between Amnesiac and The Bends.
Oh, Amnesia all day long.
Really?
Oh yeah, I love that record. Yeah, that was actually the record that really got me into Radiohead.
Okay. I'm going to sit this one out.
yeah, I don't really know Radiohead well enough to have an opinion about that. I only have like one of the records, and it's a live album.
Yeah. For me, if I had to choose only one song of those, it will always be Street Spirit, because that's the last song that Radiohead played on 9/11.
Wow.
While I was in attendance. It was a very joyful concert, as anybody can imagine. 3 more. KO Dot, and you get to choose between Habardo or Choirs of the Eye.
I think I saw them on the Choirs of the Eye, so I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably go with that.
Mm-hmm.
I like KO Dot a lot, but I'm not so great at keeping the records distinct in my head.
Would it be easier if I had given you the choices of KO Dot versus Maudlin of the Well?
Sorry?
Would it have been easier if I gave you 2 of Toby's bands, like KO Dot versus Maudlin of the Well?
Oh,
the band before KO Dot.
KO Dot.
Yeah, KO Dot.
Yeah. Those.
I have to build a bridge and do one thing first. Post-metal very often also associated with like drones, long passages. And there are, for me, 2 really perfect instruments, apart from the guitar, to do a really nice drone. An organ or the bagpipes. And here the Lankum shirt goes really well, because the uilleann pipes of Lankum are a very good example. So you get to choose, let's say, Anna van Houwswolf for the organ and Lankum for the pipes, the bagpipes or the uilleann pipes.
Pipes myself.
Sorry, Rob?
The pipes, I prefer the pipes myself.
So it would be Lankum. Okay.
Yep.
I'm going to go pipes too.
I'm going to go both.
Well, I think the guy hasn't understood the question.
I can't pick between Anna and Ian. It's too hard. Like, I mean, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, all the best for Anna to get back to normal health soon, because she seems to be in hospital. And the last one. There is a very quick wait from Anna van Houwswolf to Sun, and from Sun to Scott Walker. So I'll give you 2 Scott Walker records. Scott 1 versus Scott 4.
I'd say I have to admit that I haven't listened to Scott as deeply as I should have, but I think I'm going to say 4.
4 is probably the more successful.
Yeah, which is probably why I'm more familiar with it. I know that I've listened to his discography, but it's been quite a while.
Yeah. So. Charlie, you still have to say something?
Yeah, I'm going to say 4 also.
I'm actually not familiar with those, so I don't have an opinion.
And doesn't matter.
After we leave here,
he did a really cool album with Sun too.
Oh yeah, I'll check it out.
And then last one, I'll give you 2 title tracks from the same movie franchise. And you have to choose between Goldfinger versus We Got All the Time in the World.
I'm going to go with Goldfinger.
Goldfinger.
Tim?
I'd probably go with the other one. We've Got All the Time in the World. If it's the one that I'm thinking of.
Yeah, it is the one that was written by Louis Armstrong for in Her Majesty's service. The only one with what's his name, Lazenby.
Yeah.
When it comes to music, I would also choose Goldfinger. When it comes to the story behind the track, then it would be We've Got All the Time in the World, because when Armstrong went into the studio to record it, he already knew that he had stage 4 cancer, and it's basically his last song for his wife.
Wow.
I didn't know that.
I did not know that either. Damn.
And fun thing, it was produced by Phil Ramone. Also something that, gentlemen, as usual, a lot of nerd talk, wonderful. And also, as usual, for anybody, when you are seeing this, the record has already been out a couple of weeks.
Came out
when the interview comes out. So please check out the new Sleepbomb record, Songs in the Key of Conan, released again through Billy Gold's Koolarrow Records. It's one of those moments where, a different medium, a different version can all of a sudden change, for example, your experience of a movie completely. One of you has the chance for final last words, guys.
Well, I mean, obviously, we'd like to thank Claire and Matt and Christy for their participation, Greg for the amazing work, as always. And, just a huge heartfelt thanks to Bill Gould for all the support and mentorship that he's given us, both as a friend and as, via Koolarrow over the years. And
Brown for sure.
and yeah, and of course Brown. Yes, of course Brown. Yes. And yeah, Brown, our production manager, without whom we would never be able to do something like these films live. I mean, for me, this record has sort of felt like the end of a cycle. It also coincides with, Claire leaving as a full-time member, and the last 3 records have, obviously featured Claire heavily. And, now we're kind of putting this to bed and moving on to something new, the same.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, final words? Yeah. Sleepbomb 3.0.
Yeah.
3.0. So yeah, very much looking forward to not only hopefully a European tour, but again also of course to anything that you guys put out. Thanks a lot and enjoy the rest of your day, my friend.
Thank you
very much. Same to you. It's good to see you.
Thank you.